Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now, for some people, it might be too early to kind of even talk about fall or anything like Halloween related, but for me, I am really like wanting it to be fall right now. I don't know why, but fall is my favorite season. I love everything that is like autumnal, like Gilmore Girls, like cozy vibes, fall reading, all of that. So I thought I could do a video talking about some of my fall book recs that I have read and think would be perfect for the fall time. And I have my notes pulled up on my laptop, so that's why I'm like looking here. Starting off with Happy Medium. This is a Grumpy Sunshine book, and basically you're following a fake spirit medium who is called into exercise this house that is supposedly haunted, which the MC, who is a farmer, owns. And while she is there, she actually ends up meeting the ghost that has been haunting this house for like decades. And this ghost wants her to try to convince the MMC to not sell the house. Overall, it was a really cute, fluffy read and perfect to like get into the fall time because it's not too overly like Halloweeny, like spooky. It's just like the right amount. The next book is The Dead Romantics, and I guess communicating with ghosts seems to be the theme here because this next book follows Florence, who is a ghostwriter for romance books, and she has to return home to help her family bury their father. A magical coincidence ends up with her face to face with the ghost of her new editor, one that just jeopardized her career. But now he is dead, and she now will have to help him with his like unfinished business. Though the premise is very whimsical, the writing in this book is very deep and beautiful. Next is the Crimson Moth duology. So there's Heartless Hunter and then Rebel Witch. This is the only book that I own in this video, sadly, but I need to get Heartless Hunter. But if you have watched some of my previous recs, this is one of my favorite series ever. This follows Rune, a witch, and Gideon, a witch hunter. So I think you can kind of guess what follows. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers situation, but it's done really well. It's packed with action, romance, magic, everything that you need for like a good fall fantasy read. Then we have the Unmaking of June Pharaoh. June Pharaoh and the women in her family have been with this curse like their whole lives, and it essentially leaves them to go kind of like insane, and they can't do anything about it to stop it. But years ago, her mother actually disappeared because of her madness, and June starts to unravel her mystery, leading her to another realm to find out what really happened. And we have The Night Guest, which basically this was one of the most like chilling horror books I have ever read, and it's so short, but once you like read it, I feel like it's just like sickening, but in a way that's like you just want to know what is even happening. I didn't even know what was happening, but the FMC has been having aches and pains. This is like the premise of the story, but cannot remember where she got them from. She thinks she's been sleepwalking, so when she tries to find a solution to find out like what's happening when she's not awake, it is very chilling. That's all I'm going to say. Another fantasy is Year of the Reaper, and this was really enjoyable because you're following the narration of a MMC instead of a girl, which is very rare, and I really liked his character. So Cass, the MMC, and Lena, the FMC, are searching for this assassin who's out for the queen. It's a great, dark kind of like medieval vibes. Following that, we have Listen for the Lie, which is one of my favorite like mystery thriller books I've read. So it follows the mystery of how one best friend died, and if it was her best friend that killed her, in a podcast format. It's super fast paced and super enjoyable. We have Pet Sematary by Stephen King. If you're like me and don't like scary things like at all, but still kind of want that like Halloween spooky vibe and feel, this would be a good place to start. This is the only book I've read from Stephen King. But it did have some parts where I felt like kind of icky about, but it wasn't like something that I couldn't sleep after. So you are basically following this family that is moving to a new town, and there's this really strange cemetery out in the woods that all of the kids in this town know about and go there to bury their pets. I'm not going to say too much about it because I feel like it would spoil it, but once you are into the story, you'll like understand. And the ending is very strange. I did not like the ending. Another fantasy I have is One Dark Window. This is very like gothic, eerie fantasy at its core. So Elspeth, who is the FMC, has grown up with this monster's voice in her head from a cursed card that she touched. And together with the king's captain, they try to find the cure for this curse that plagues their kingdom and search for the 12 magical providence cards. And basically these cards help people like do certain things and have certain powers and gifts, but without them they can't do really any magic. And these cards also come with like a risk, which is why she has this like nightmare inside of her head. This next book is very fall. Like it's literally the epitome of a fall book. It is called Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. So Gilmore Girls is one of my favorite shows ever, and the mother and daughter in this are literally like Gilmore Girls, and it even takes place in New England. So I think just the premise of this girl is trying to find the perfect recipe for a pumpkin spice latte. It's just the most autumnal book ever. Like, it's YA, it's really cute, really fast paced. This next book I just finished is called The Naturals, and teens in a super special department of the FBI are held together to try to solve these cold cases and sometimes new ones too. These teens all have special gifts that make them like better at solving cases than anybody else. And when they work together, they can help prevent these killings even more. I couldn't put this down. The writing was really good and the plot was very interesting and unlike anything I've read. The last book that I have is called The Bright Years, which I also just finished. And in this, you're following generations of women from the same family as they navigate marriage, motherhood, and life. I love this, and I can't believe this is the author's first work. The writing was very like poetic and emotional, and it was a beautiful story, but I definitely feel like it gives kind of more like autumn vibes more than summer. I don't know why. I think because it's very like melancholy. That's why I feel it would be a good read to read in the summer. So those are all the books that I have for the fall time. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if they're on your TBR. And let me know some other books on your fall TBR. I need to kind of create one for the fall time, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I hope you guys got some good book recs, and I hope I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!